everyone, this is my February new releases video. Every month I do a video on my most anticipated releases for the upcoming month, and this is February's edition. I didn't think February was going to be as chaotic as January's release calendar was, but I actually have 23 books to talk about, which is exactly the same amount of books as I had to talk about in my January video. So I didn't manage to cut back. Without further ado, let's get into the books. This first lot come out on the 5th of February, and I have to mention On the Come Up by Angie Thomas first, because that's the one that everyone is dying to read. This is a YA contemporary. It's not a follow-up to The Hate U Give or anything. It's its own story. It's about a girl who wants to be a rapper like her father was, but I guess life gets in the way and she has to struggle to meet her dreams. Her mum loses her job and the family have to rely on food banks and benefits, I guess, and it sounds really good, really hard-hitting, and I can't wait to read it. The Lost Man by Jane Harper, which is an Australian book. It is set in the same kind of universe as Jane Harper's The Dry series, but it doesn't follow the detective from that. I've already read this one and I loved it. It's about 3 brothers, one of whom dies. His body is found in the outback, miles and miles away from both his house and his car, so presumably he travelled to this place where he ended up dying, but no one knows why. We learn a lot about the brothers' relationships and their pasts and the history of this ranch that they live on, and I thought it was a fantastic book. I would highly recommend reading it even if you haven't read The Dry, because I think you can enjoy this for a different reason. It's a very, very good mystery. Black Leopard Red Wolf by Marlon James. This is an adult fantasy. A guy called Tracker, who is also a tracker, is asked to look for a missing boy. Tracker is joined by a shapeshifter called Leopard, who presumably can turn into a leopard, and according to the summary it's kind of a mystery as to why this boy that they're looking for is so important and why they have to find him. I'm really looking forward to reading this one, and I'm considering buying it on the release day so that I can read it for Blackathon, which is a readathon that I'm taking part in. There'll be more information on that in another video. Courting Darkness by Robin Lefevre. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce her last name. I always thought it was Lefevre, but who knows, I'm English. This is a spin-off from her other series, which is the Grave Mercy series, His Fair Assassin, perhaps. I think it follows one of the assassins from that, and she is given a new mission. I read Grave Mercy and enjoyed it when I read it, like back in the day when it first came out, which I think is probably 2012, but I have been curious to catch up with the series, so I'm keeping my eye on this one. The Hiding Place by CJ Tudor, which is a thriller. The main character in this one comes back to his hometown, which he previously left, and he has to face off people that he used to know. His sister went missing and came back, which was apparently the worst moment of his life, so I'm curious as to why that is. I think this one sounds quite good, and this author has quite a few fans, so I'm curious to check this one out. The Night Olivia Fell by Christina McDonald. This one is another adult thriller. This is about a girl called Olivia who falls from a bridge, and at the time she was pregnant. Her mother Abby doesn't believe that this was an accident or a suicide attempt. She thinks that something more sinister was going on. I have said in past videos that I would be interested in reading more about mother-daughter relationships, especially in thrillers, so I'm looking forward to this one. Lady Smoke by Laura Sebastian, which is the sequel to Ash Princess, which I haven't read but probably should because I've got an advanced reader's copy still. The Ruin of Kings by Jen Lyons. This is a fantasy book. I'm not sure if it's adult or YA. The main character is called Kieran, and he is an orphan, and he is told that he's actually the son of a treasonous prince, so he is swept up into palace life, and I imagine drama ensues from there. I'm really looking forward to this one as well. The 5th of February is shaping up to be an amazing date for new releases, and I can't wait. Oh, and there are also dragons. Flame Fate and the First Kiss by Casey West. This is a YA contemporary, of course, it's Casey West. I talk more about this in one of my wrap-ups. This is about a teenager who is an actress. She's on set each day and someone is trying to sabotage her career, or so she thinks, and there's romance and it's all really cute. The main character doesn't really go through any character development, but it's a Casey West book and it's kind of adorable. The Way to Far Sky by Hannah Alcaf. This is historical fantasy. This is set in 1969 during the race riots in Malaysia, which is something that I don't know anything about, so I would be curious to read this book to see how it enlightens me. The main character gets separated from her mother when the war breaks out. I'm really looking forward to this one, and the cover is adorable. The Deceivers by Kristen Simmons. This is a contemporary book. It has been dubbed as Ocean's 11 meets Pretty Little Liars, which caught my attention. It's set in a school for aspiring con artists, and I think it just sounds really entertaining. Moving on to the 12th of February. First of all, we have Blood Witch by Susan Dennard. This is the sequel to Truth Witch and Sight Witch, which I haven't read, but I would be really interested in reading. I'm probably not going to get to them by the time Blood Witch comes out, but they're on my TBR. The City in the Middle of the Night by Charlie Jane Anders. I spoke about this in my most anticipated releases of 2019 video or maybe my 5-star predictions video. Either way, I think it sounds fantastic. It's set on a planet where one half of the planet is always day and the other half is always night. There are no time zones, literally just day and night, and so the government controls time. I'm hoping that this one is going to be really good, and it's going to be a kind of dark, gritty government dystopia, science fiction, fantasy sort of thing. I think it sounds amazing. Crown of Feathers by Nikki Powell-Preto. This is a fantasy book about warrior queens and phoenix riders. The main character is a war orphan. She wants to become a phoenix rider, and does that not sound great? The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley, which is a thriller. This is another one that I am dying to read. It's about a group of old school friends who go up to the Scottish Highlands and they're snowed in, or there's a storm or something, and then one of them dies. One of them is murdered and one of them is the killer. The Psychology of Time Travel by Kate Mascarenhas. This is obviously about time travel. Basically in the 60s, a group of female scientists invented time travel. Then in the future, time travel is like a massive business. The goddaughter of one of these scientists wants to figure out what happened back in the 60s because someone had a breakdown and there was just a whole bunch of stuff going on, perhaps a conspiracy. I do have a review copy of this one. I'm hoping to read it before release date, so stay tuned for my review on that. There is only one book coming out on the 19th of February that I am particularly excited for, and that is Immoral Code by Lillian Clark. This is about hackers. Sounds like a generic plot, but apparently there is ace/arrow rep in it, which intrigues me, and the reviews for it have been fantastic so far. And then finally on the 26th of February we have some more really highly anticipated releases. The first one is The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I don't know anyone who's not excited for this book. I haven't read any of her books previously and I'm kind of tempted to read The Bone Season before I do pick this up. It's a chunky fantasy book about dragons. The Huntress by Kate Quinn. This is a historical romance book, I think. It's about an English journalist and a Russian bomber who have to go to the USA in an attempt to find a Nazi war criminal. I think the romance could potentially be questionable, but it doesn't really sound like your typical historical romance, so I'm kind of looking forward to it. Four Dead Queens by Astrid Scholter. This is a fantasy book that sounds a bit like Divergent. There are 4 quadrants in this region and there is 1 queen for each of the quadrants, so it's something to do with queens, and then the main character is a thief. I think there's a lot of buzz about this one. I'm not highly anticipating it, but it is one that I would like to check out at some point. We Set the Dark on Fire by Taylor K. Meggia. I started this one a couple of days ago, but I'm only a few pages in. It's set in a school where women are trained to be wives, basically. On this island there is apparently this curse and men have been promised 2 wives each. The first one is meant to be like the wise wife, and the second one is meant to be the ditzy one, but she's beautiful, so it's okay. The main character is the top student in the school, but she shouldn't be there because her family background isn't necessarily fit for what this school wants. I really enjoyed the first couple of chapters that I read, so I'm looking forward to continuing this one, and I'm hoping I'm going to love it. Warrior of the Wild by Trisha Levenseller. This is a fantasy about Vikings, and that's all I need to know. And finally, the last book that I'm looking forward to that is coming out in February is The Beauty of the Moment by Tanaz Bethina, who wrote A Girl Like That, which I loved last year. It was one of my few 5-star reads. I do have to say this plot sounds quite generic. It's about a new girl at school and a bad boy called Malcolm. They both have difficult home lives, and I'm imagining it's going to be very hard-hitting despite the fact that it sounds quite cutesy. So those are the 23 books that I'm really looking forward to in February. I'm not going to buy and read all of them at once, but these are the ones I'm going to be keeping my eye on. Let me know which books you're looking forward to in the comments below, and thank you for watching. I'll speak to you in my next video. Bye.